Oh, welcome to another episode of Uncle T-Bone's Kitchen. And today we are gonna be making bison bolognese, just like a nonna makes. Actually, we're not, because I'm not Italian. I'm not gonna pretend like this is actually Italian. It's far from it. What you need is ground bison. You can use ground beef, but what makes this special is the bison because it's nice, lean, delicious, and great for the environment. Parmesan rind. I got this off another piece I had somewhere. Garlic, a red onion, some celery, some carrots, basil, a can of San Marzanos, and it has to be San Marzanos or else someone's Italian grandmother will haunt you from the grave. Wine, pasta. I've got this because it was in the pantry. We also have this because Bailey wants to test out this protein stuff and I'm suspicious of it and I'm not gonna have it ruin my meal if it's gross. Oh, and olive oil as always, and salt and pepper and all that other stuff. A longtime viewer suggested that I kind of detail how much this all costs. Unfortunately, I don't do the grocery shopping, but I'll bet 25, 30 bucks, maybe, something like that. All right. All right, so step one is the prep, as always. You're gonna need some garlic. I'm gonna use like 3 cloves because I like it garlicky. You can use 1 or 2 or 3, whatever you like. Let's get some skin off though. All right. Celery. I'm going to take these fronds off, and then I'm also going to take these nasty looking bases off. Don't need those. Your carrots, and your onions. So I'll start with the carrots first. Invest in one of these if you don't have one in your kitchen. They're cheap, good peeler. You can use it for a lot of different things like potatoes, carrots, anything that's got skin on it that needs to come off. Makes quick work of it, makes your life a lot easier than trying to use a knife. It's also probably a lot safer if you're not a bozo and put your finger there. So the other nice thing is you don't have to wash them. Just take them off, just take that layer off. And if you got a dog, they love that skin. At least mine does. I'm surprised he's not in here right now begging. All right. Take off the ends. You don't want to eat that. Give that to the dog too. And then you're just going to kind of roughly dice these up. So I like to start like that. Just be careful, watch your fingers. Go slow if you need to. Oh, carrot down. And then you're going to just kind of roughly chop these guys up. Now, if you want to, you can use a food processor. You just need to be cautious not to do it too much. You don't want like a paste or anything like that. Just a couple pulses and get them all nicely chopped. You can do that. I'm not doing it because I just don't want to clean it. It's one more thing that I have to clean up at the end of the night. And I'm trying to make that a little bit easier on us tonight since I'm getting kind of a late start here. We're getting close. It's still a little bit too chunky. Although, you know what? If you like your veggies chunky, leave it chunky. This is your bolognese. Like I said, this is not an Italian authentic recipe by any means, and I don't want to hear about it. Okay? probably good enough for the carrots. So we'll scrape them over to the side. And then you're going to do the same thing with your celery. Now your red onion. I'm just going to use a half. You can use more. I just don't care for that much in my pasta. I think red onion's got a big flavor. I think a half goes a long ways. Get that skin off. You can kind of just, with an onion, I do this really stupidly, but normally if you're not a bozo, you can just kind of peel it off like that. That first layer you don't want. So it looks like that. Take your end off. Okay. And then we'll do cut like that. And this is a little trick that you can use for dicing. You cut like that, but you leave a little bit to keep it all together. So you're gonna cut like that, kind of narrowly. And see how it's staying together? Just be careful. So you'll have it like cut almost all the way to the end, and then you'll reverse it and cut narrowly, and then you get it nicely, already pretty nicely diced. And you don't have to do as much chopping later on, if any at all, if you don't want to. And then that last piece, you just kind of chop it up. All right. There's your onions. And here's the hardest prep, the garlic. Done. We're just smashing it. We're not doing anything else with it. Just taking the skin off and smashing it. And what you can do while you're chopping is get your pasta water going, because remember what we talked about in the other video. You want your water waiting on you. You don't want to be waiting on your water. All right. So we got those guys all prepped up, ready to go. All right, we're back and we're ready to do our bison. Get yourself a nice Dutch oven like this, something big like this, a vessel to cook in. You're gonna need it that big. Your that's avocado oil. Hang on. Almost a disaster. Do not do this with avocado oil. Add in a couple glugs. 1 glug, 2 glugs, something like that. And then cut your package open. And I don't know if I mentioned it already, but medium-high heat. Kind of break it up a little bit, make your life easier. We're gonna let that brown, all right? All right, so we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna let this brown, and you're just gonna kind of punch it around a little bit. You're gonna break it up to be really nicely fine, little pieces. This takes about 8 minutes or so, and just keep an eye on it. You don't have to sit there and babysit it all the time because you do want it to actually brown, but you also don't want it to stick to the pot. So we'll come back and see how it's doing in a little bit. All right, we're back, and it's been about 4 or 5 minutes, and I've been stirring it around a little bit. You're gonna see the pot will get kind of dirty, and there's gonna be grease in the pan. Now, if you used ground beef, there's gonna be a lot more grease in the pan, because this bison is pretty lean, doesn't have a lot of fat in it, which makes it kind of a healthier alternative if you're gonna eat red meat. Personally, if I was cooking with ground beef, I would probably drain out some of that oil, that grease, because I don't like to eat it. It makes my stomach upset, all that jazz. Not good for you, blah, 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 blah. But with this, I'm not doing anything. I'm just gonna leave it in there. And we're almost to the point that we're gonna be ready to move to the next step. So this is what you kind of want the consistency of your meat to look like. Maybe even more so. And you just kind of do it with this method. If you're using Le Creuset, and you want it to last a lifetime like it's supposed to, you use wood or silicone on it, never metal. Metal's going to scrape this enamel up and really mess up your pot. You don't want that. These are great. I have some in my kitchen that are, sorry about that, the dog just hit the tripod, that are actually older than me, from my mom. All right. So now we're going to add in our vegetables. So you can toss in your garlic, just like that, remember, just smashed. And then bring my cutting board over here. And I've got a little dough scraper that I actually like to use for this kind of thing. Just kind of scoop, little bit. So now we're going to continue to cook. Might even bring the heat up a little bit, kick it up a bit. Stir everything in. And just let those veggies just really start cooking down nicely. It'll take some time. I don't know how long. I'll let you know how long this takes, but I don't think you should ever cook based on what I'm saying. You should cook based on what's happening in front of you. And I'm looking at this and I'm seeing pretty dry pot, and this is something that you'll have to do yourself too. I'm going to add a little bit of fat to this because I don't want anything to get too dried up in here. So I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil, just a little bit, not a lot. Maybe half a glug, half glug. There you go. What is a half a glug? A glug? Glug? Anyway, glug. Just kind of keep stirring every once in a while. And once these get softened up, we'll be back and we'll move on to the next step. All right, so we're about 3 or 4 minutes in and everything's really starting to meld nicely and sweat. And this combination is just one of the best in the world. The onion, the carrot, the celery, the garlic, all together. Once it starts kind of mixing together, the kitchen just smells absolutely incredible. One of my favorite things. It's up there with rosemary. We're not there yet though. We still need a little bit of time. These carrots are still a little bit crunchy for my liking. So we're gonna give it a little bit more time and just keep monitoring and stirring every once in a while, and then we'll be on to the next step. We're back, and it's a looking a good. So we're gonna go on to the next step and add in just a little bit of wine to deglaze this a bit. I'm looking at it, doesn't need too much deglazing, so I'm not gonna use too much. I've got like a cup in here, but T-Bone thirsty, so he's gonna drink most of this. All right, so that's how much I used. I don't know, about half. This is probably Italians. I'm sorry, upset a bunch of Italians. I used red wine, and I think they normally use white wine or something like that in this situation. I don't care. I don't drink white wine. I don't keep it on hand. I don't actually like the way it tastes in this. I've made this with white wine. It makes it sweet. I'm not a sweet fan in my food. I like it in my dessert. I do not like it in my food. So I'm using red, and you're just going to kind of like mix it in here. Scrape the bottom of the pan. If you have a lot of buildup, use it to deglaze, and that means deglaze means like literally pulling the stuff off the pan that's been kind of burnt on. It'll make cleaning up at the end of the night easier, but it's also a lot of flavor that's going to come back into your dish. Add that in, and then depending on how much you use, you're going to have to simmer it until it simmers down a good amount, almost to where it's gone. Oh, one more thing while we're talking about wine. Some people say, oh, you got to cook with the stuff that only you would drink, blah, blah, blah. I don't buy into that. I've done using really good bottles. I've done using the cheapest stuff on the shelf, and I can't tell the difference. Maybe someone can. I doubt it's going to be you. If you can, then you're more than welcome to use a $30 bottle of wine cooking. The one I used today was some freebie that we got at a hotel and brought home with us because we thought, oh, we'd rather use this for cooking than drinking. The other thing about this is another thing that might tick off a bunch of Italians. I will keep a bottle of red wine that I've opened and not finished in the fridge. I'll write the date that I put it in there. And as long as I open it up and it doesn't smell like vinegar, I cook with it. And it does not taste bad. Trust me. So if you're not a big drinker and you're like, God, I don't want to cook something that I have to buy a bottle of wine for, I'm not going to finish it. Put it in the fridge. Put the cork back in it, something to keep it sealed. Put it in the fridge. Pull it out for the next dish that calls for some red wine or something like that. Smell it. If it doesn't smell like vinegar, you should be good. If it smells like vinegar, toss it. You're done there. Capisce? All right, at this point, it's boiled down to a point that I'm happy with. It's going to continue to do that too. Just continue to stir it a little bit, but we can start the process of adding in our tomatoes. And this is the one thing where I am going to be a bit picky, because I have tried using the non-San Marzanos from Italy that aren't certified. They're just not as good. They don't taste as good. The dish is not as good. I promise you it is worth the extra, I don't know, 50 cents, dollar a can, whatever it may be. But you're going to get peeled whole tomatoes. And the dog just hit the tripod again. Kramer, get out of here. Come on. Yeah, so you're going to get the peeled whole tomatoes. And it needs to be a product of Italy because they're sneaky. Some of these companies have tried to make their packaging look really fancy, and they're like these Californian ripoffs, and we don't want that. So crank your can open.
Just need one can.
All right, and here comes the fun part. It's gonna be kind of tricky with the tripod in front of me, but you take each one out and see they're gonna be like a whole tomato. Put it over there and just kind of smush it into smithereens, not pulverines. Add it in. And just keep going until you're done with the can. Just be careful because they do pop, and you can get tomato juice all over the place if you're not careful. And I ultimately will do that, I promise you. I do it every time. And then just dump the rest of that in. And see, yep, I got the kind with basil in it. I'm gonna pull that out because I just don't want that basil leaf in with my stuff. And I'll even kind of give it a scooparooski. So it's all good stuff. All right. All right, so now we're gonna just combine this all together. And you'll lower your heat to medium. We're gonna add a little salt. Just a little. Some pepper. And then your basil. And unlike the other dishes, I am not going to cut up my basil. I'm just going to put the whole leaves in there. Maybe, I'll show you how much, hold on. This might be off camera, I'm sorry. Not a handful. I'm just gonna rub it up, make sure all those oils get released, toss it in there. Here, a little bit more, because I got a lot here. Okay, add that all in. Give it a good stir. Immediately starts smelling amazing too. And then your Parmesan rind. And they sell these at like Whole Foods. You can find them in the Parmesan section. It's like $1 for like a package of like 4 or 5 of them. Or if you've got a piece of Parmesan in your fridge, just cut the end off and put it in there. That's what I did. And just shove it in there. It'll be fine, I promise. And it gives tons of flavor. It's a great addition. Learned that from good old Giada de Laurentiis. So we're gonna let this simmer. This is the thing. Italians, back off. I know y'all think it has to cook all day, and maybe it does. But in T-Bone's kitchen, depends on how hungry the house is. And the house is pretty hungry tonight, so we're probably gonna do 25 to 35 minutes. 45 is great if you can do it. The longer the better, I will admit that. But this is not something that you have to sit there all day and stir and stir and stir for it to be good. This is a weeknight recipe. It's meant to be easy. It's not meant to be a chore or pain in the butt. It's just a simple sauce. All right, so we'll be back in a while. I'll check back in like 20 or so minutes. Madonna, she's looking good. Anyway, we're about 20 minutes in. Just been stirring and scraping. See, there's that rind there. So you're looking a little bit better, thickening up. You want the liquid to really reduce a little bit more, so I'm thinking I'm gonna give this one a little bit more time. Let's say 15, 20 minutes. 15, 20 minutes. So, like I said, we've got two different pastas today. We're gonna try this one separately just in case it's funky. And then real pasta. And I know neither one of these are Parpadel, which is what you normally eat this with. But it's okay. Use whatever pasta you got. You don't have to buy anything fancy. If you want to go get the good stuff, go get the good stuff. But it's supposed to be the easy weeknight recipe that doesn't require a lot of shopping. All right, so our pasta is almost done here. I've got 2 pots, like I said. And then our sauce. This is what it looks like about, what I say, 40 minutes in, 35 minutes in, something like that. It's kind of thickened up a bit. Perfectly edible. Didn't take all day. Just a little bit of effort, scraping, stirring every so often. It's a really relatively low effort dish, which you can make on a weeknight if you want to. It's great for the weekend too. Once the pasta's done, I'm just gonna strain it, and I add the sauce on top of the pasta. I don't mix it in, but you feel free to do your own thing if you want to. Yeah, so that's the Bolognese recipe.